Hello, everyone. My name's Adam Maggard. I'm an extension specialist in the School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences at Auburn University and with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System. And my focus in extension is forest systems management. And what I like to do typically and what I focus on is working with private landowners, family forest landowners on a variety of their forest management needs, and particularly looking at business practices, micro enterprises, and ways to additional options for generating income for those landowners. And today I'm going to talk about a kind of a innovative approach to reaching these landowners in terms of meeting their needs for education and what their needs are on their properties, based on some information that we used in the past and have learned about this new generation of landowners, which I'll explain in a little bit. But what I'm going to focus on is uh, a course that we created, that I helped, I designed along with some of my colleagues. It's called Forest Principles, Practices, and Stewardship for Landowners. And it's a 6-week online course that focuses on teaching, uh, primarily our initial reach, or our target audience were family forest landowners. And we wanted to teach them forestry basics, who want, for those landowners who want to start being proactive with their forest land management. And basically, what we decide to do is treat this course, as a unique combination of online instruction plus an additional added component of a hands-on experience for teaching and learning purposes. Um, what we do is we are able to bring across a lot of variety of expertise in doing this, and I'm going to highlight some of that with our experience. And I just want to keep in mind this was all, we started this course all prior to COVID-19, and COVID-19 has kind of sped up this process, and I'll explain that. So I'm going to give you a little bit of basis and background for the design of the course, talk about the course development and education methods, kind of the description of the educational content that we focus on, the direct impact so far from these courses, and then what our plans are moving forward. So kind of tell a long story, create a short story of a long story here, or a long, um, short version of a long story. What's happening in the southeast is we have quite a few, most of the forestry land's private land, and a lot of that forestry land are family forest landowners, and that's individual holdings held by families. It can be estates and trusts and so forth. And in Alabama alone, that's approximately 60% of our timberland is owned by these family forest landowners. In the southeast alone, it's about 58%. So it's a large number of the timberland in the south and southeast is held by these landowners, and they're currently going through a generation shift. In that first generation, they were typically built on, they grew up there, they lived off that land. And this next generation, through the Hare property, they are, receiving this land. That next generation is the first land that kind of moved off to school. They moved away, went to college, and they moved to big cities and urban areas with their, following their careers. And now they're obtaining that land, and there is a management that's lacking due to that. And that's something we need to address in extension and help further our reach. And that lack of management comes from a variety of things. One, there is a cost involved, and that's a deterrent. There is a lack of knowledge in terms of what to do and how to do it that is preventing things from getting done. There's a lot of landowners out there that understand that management is good. They understand that it needs to happen. They just don't know how to do it or when to do it. Um, we have heard back that, a lot of these folks are just too busy and they can't keep up or dedicate the time to it. And then as this is generation shifts ongoing, along with other things that cause this, we're getting smaller and smaller tracts. So land is just being broken down into smaller tracts, which is harder and harder to manage, whether it's from the timber side or any approach to it. And then on top of that, you have weaker timber markets, and that's kind of those that have still held on to that property That's prevented management, prevented due to the cost and no return, and prevented the harvest of timber over the last decade or so. This figure on the right just kind of highlights this is kind of an example of the average, in the of saw timber in Alabama, and you can see when the housing market crash happened in 2009. Those prices fell, and we just haven't been harvesting timber in the last decade. So we have a whole surplus of timber out there, and a lot of that timberland is in need of management. Um, so with that, we decided, how do we further reach these landowners? And one thing we've noticed with our traditional extension programming is, it's harder and harder to get a consistent group of folks and reach those landowners on a consistent basis. And a lot of that has to do with, several things that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But that's the purpose, is kind of creating this course with the thought that, how do we further that reach? How do we reach more folks, and how do we make it convenient without giving up the quality of that education? And for this course description, we're really wanting to focus on, it's more of an introductory course, get your feet wet and start implementing practices and implementing techniques on your forest. And we talk about introduction to forestry, different forest types, measurements and forest inventory, so cruising and design, stand dynamics, silviculture and regeneration, forest management and wildlife, and forest planning, timber products, and markets. So we kind of take them through the whole gauntlet of forestry topics related to, that can be directly translatable to those private forest landowners. And we started out with the first year of this course in 2019 in the spring. And we initially opened it up as a 6-week online course with an optional field day for those participants to come and meet each of the instructors, interact with other landowners, and get some hands-on experience with that course. So that's the way we designed it. It was flexible in terms of there wasn't a week-to-week deadlines, but each week we released a new topic of the course with a new video, lecture, and presentation along with additional material, and kind of kept it where there was some kind of structure to that course to keep people moving along. But by any means, if there was a week they were busy, they didn't necessarily have to, they could come back to it. And that's what we wanted to provide those participants, is that convenience. So we really focused around this kind of unique approach between online instruction paired with hands-on experiences. I don't think online instruction alone it can be very successful. I think with these, when you're dealing with things such as forest management, I think anything you can do to bring folks together and show them that applied side and hands-on version of it is a plus. And we didn't want to get rid of that completely, but we wanted to add the convenience factor of being online. What it does provide for us is the feasibility to collaborate. And what I mean by that is we can bring in a range of expertise for this course. It doesn't have to be focused strictly on, just one person giving a program, or a couple extension agents or extension specialists focusing on topics. You can bring in expertise from across the country, across the region, and literally they can participate in this course and provide educational content on their expertise and from their experiences, without having a huge time commitment or cost involved. Reach and educate a broad audience. We focus around quality, convenience, and needs of those landowners. So this initial course was designed on what we thought were the biggest needs that we are seeing from these landowners. We wanted to provide them with a convenient outlet, and we wanted to not have anything to do with reducing the quality of that education. And this type of opportunity has been successful in terms of our experiences to date. It's a learn at your own pace. A lot of these landowners that we've talked to and interact with, convenience is key to reaching them. A lot of them are busy. They have everyday life still. They're doing things, and it's hard for them to be at a certain place at a certain time to attend, more of a traditional meeting. So we wanted to offer this opportunity and basically just kind of throw it out there and see what happens. And to date, it has been very successful. In 2019 was our first run at it. We had 24 participants. They were all landowners at this point. We approached just over 5,000 acres that were impacted, and we included 5 different states. So we had participants from Alabama, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia participate. 9 of those 24 were from those states other than Alabama. All participants indicated at our follow-up assessment that they implemented something on their property that they learned through the course. 18 of those 24 ended up coming to the field day, including folks from Florida and North Carolina that attended the field day. And we had the field day here locally in Auburn, Alabama. And that, to most of them, that was just kind of the cherry on the top that they needed, to kind of put what they've been learning the last 6 weeks into action. And we got really great feedback on that. And during that field day, what we do is we talk about things such as, we walk them through how to make a measurement in a cruise plot, how to take tree measurements. We talk about different types of, forest types and management applications, management techniques such as prescribed burning and how that improves your, what it can do to impact your forest management and so forth during that day. So it is a pretty jam-packed day, but they really, it seemed to get a lot from that. It was rated exceptional in terms of their overall confidence once completing the course, their overall enjoyment of the course, and their overall satisfaction of that course. So based on that initial run, we decided to do it again in 2020. And this was prior to COVID-19. COVID-19 actually impacted this course. So I don't have the final direct impacts of this course because we still have those videos, and that course is currently still ongoing for those participants. We're allowing them to continue on a little bit. We're having to postpone the field day until further notice, but we doubled our enrollment. We had 48 participants, and this time we didn't just have landowners, we actually had educators, industry professionals, and extension professionals from across the Southeast join this course. Initial indications were very successful in terms of, we've been through the video, the lecture, the online portion of the course, and now we're starting to get into figuring out how we're going to do the field day. Again, we had 5 different states: Alabama, Colorado, Florida, South Carolina, and Tennessee involved. But just to think about this online course and what it provides for us is the convenience and the flexibility and the ability to bring in more expertise at a feasible level, but also extend our reach and provide convenience and quality education to landowners. And to date, it's been very successful, but it also allows us to handle situations like COVID-19, which has put us in a situation to where it's forcing our hand to do this to begin with. So having that jump start and having our experience with that, I think is big going forward. So moving forward, there is a high demand for this course. We get calls every day about when we're going to offer it again. So we are planning to offer it again this summer. We are going to transition a little bit. We're going to repackage the course to include an electronic workbook. We provide each of the participants in the first 2 courses a hard copied workbook that we mail to their house that includes the presentation slides, additional reading material, and exercises that go along with each of the professionals' lectures and expertise that are given those lectures, what they include in that notebook. We're going to put that into an electronic PDF workbook now. We're going to host it on the Southern Region Extension Forestry webinar portal. And the reason for this is we're going to give this a shot, basically because we had a little bit of issue in the course working with some folks that were in the course. Their emails were not large enough to obtain some of that material. There's internet issues here and there, and capacities that we have to deal with both from the internet and email side, and we're thinking that may make that a little bit smoother. Depending on the first, how we get feedback and how this goes, we'll likely try and do this as more of a continual term maybe, and not a 6-week course. But hey, if you're ready to register, it's there. Sign on, register, complete the course at your own pace, and then possibly we'll have 1 or 2 days during the year where we open it up for a field day to all that has been enrolled that are welcome to come. This year we are considering a virtual field day where we may use some virtual reality videos and so forth due to COVID-19. So in conclusion, there is a high demand for online education across the board. The future is heading that direction. High quality teaching and access to expertise is required, and we're not giving that up. So this high flex hybrid method is very, very good opportunity. And we have a range of experts and the feasibility to do that. So with that, I just wanted to highlight that unique and innovative approach that we're using and the success so far, and how we're going to build off of that going forward, and how it likely could change, a big part of traditional extension and outreach education. With that, thank you.